Over to Celtic. Celtic are upgrading to the Adidas Elite team from their B tier status when they strike a new lucrative deal in the 25-26 season, joining the likes of Arsenal and Real Madrid in that status. What kind of financial difference could this make?
Well, that's one that I've never had to negotiate, so I'm unclear as to how much that would be. But my guessing, it would be something like probably a 5 million difference, possibly a year. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's going to be certainly it'll be based on results and based on, as we just talked about, Man United potentially losing 10 million. I think Celtic, if they do well in the Champions League and those sort of areas, which they have not done in the last game, then they could get those sort of bonuses. I think it'll be bonus related, maybe with a very small uplift on the basic. But listen, it's good news for them. But as I say, 7-0 was a bit of a hammering the other day, and so they've got to perform better than that. Every hope they would do in the European games, so, but they've got to start producing it.
And you speak about that match against Dortmund. Rodgers did show a bit of naivety in the match against Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League. How important is his success in Europe this season for the board to want to continue investing in the squad? I think we always talk about the success of Celtic and Rangers managers in terms of how they do against each other, but Celtic seem to kind of have a leg up. So at what point does the investment really, depend on how well they do in Europe?
No, listen, I think it's absolutely crucial. I mean, you're right in the sense that Celtic used to be judged against how they did against Rangers. Now they seem to beat Rangers quite regularly, and it is being judged about how they get on in Europe. And I think that's exactly what they're looking at right now. The board, I think, will back any manager that is in there. It's whether Brendan gets to stay on and do it. He knows it was embarrassing. I mean, I went down to Madrid last year. Someone got beaten 6-0 at Atletico. So there have been some bad results for them in Europe. 7-0 is particularly embarrassing, and that's something that will rankle. I think he can turn it round, though. I looked at some of the fixtures in the Champions League coming up, and they've got a chance to turn this round again and get back on track. And if they can, get a reasonable group stage and qualify going forward, then that will be enough. And I think that will satisfy the board for this particular European season, because it would be an improvement over last year. So that's how it will judge. It will be judged against last year's European performance and how well they do this year. But I think Celtic, they've got the chance. They've got some players, some good players there. So it's up to Brendan to produce it on the night.